And if you're wondering why that's my role, it's because I have 4 kids. Okay? So why am I telling you this? What does that have to do with Jesus and Legion? Well, I have a legion of kids. That's a joke. But I'm just going to take this opportunity to say we have VBS coming up, and look in your bulletin. Go find some kids, invite them to VBS, register them. If you're an adult, there is a class for adults. I've been helping with that the last 2 years. Landon is one of the main ones in there, Landon Self. And if you like to help with kids, or even if you don't, volunteer to help. I don't always like to help with our kids, but I do, and then you have a lot of fun afterwards. So I'm just going to do that and say, hey, find something to do with VBS, because that's coming up. And if you haven't been here, in first service, Susanna and Logan put together an entertaining video about the topic. So you'll get to see that in second service. All right. I'm going to go ahead and say a prayer before we get started. So will you all pray with me, please? Heavenly Father, God, we thank you for today. We thank you for everything that you do for us, God. God, we're thankful for Jesus. God, I'm thankful for the family that you have made. You have brought us together as brothers and sisters. And I pray that you would be with us this morning as we study Jesus. Help us to follow him with everything that we have, God. We pray all this in his name. Amen. All right. I got a fun one today. There could be some interesting conversations that come out of this topic. We'll see. We're going to talk about Jesus and Legion. I liked this kid. I liked this story as a kid. That's what I'm trying to say. But let's go ahead. If y'all will turn to Mark chapter 5, verses 1 through 20. Mark 5, 1 through 20. I'll wait till I hear the shuffling stop here a little bit. Okay. It says, they went across the lake to the region of the Gerasenes, they being Jesus and his apostles. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an impure spirit came from the tombs to meet him. This man lived in the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain. For he had often been chained hand and foot, but he tore the chains apart and broke the irons on his feet. No one was strong enough to subdue him. Night and day among the tombs and in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. When he saw Jesus from a distance, he ran and fell on his knees in front of him. He shouted at the top of his voice, "What do you want with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? In God's name, don't torture me." For Jesus had said to him, "Come out of this man, you impure spirit." Let me see here. I think I skipped a... Then Jesus asked him, "What is your name?" "My name is Legion," he replied, "for we are many." And he begged Jesus again and again not to send them out of the area. A large herd of pigs was feeding on the nearby hillside. The demons begged Jesus, "Send us among the pigs. Allow us to go into them." He gave them permission, and the impure spirits came out and went into the pigs. The herd, about 2,000 in number, rushed down the steep bank into the lake and were drowned. Those tending the pigs ran off and reported this in the town and countryside. And the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to Jesus, they saw the man who had been possessed by the legion of demons sitting there, dressed and in his right mind, and they were afraid. Those who had told the people what had happened to the demon-possessed man, those who had seen it told the people what had happened to the demon-possessed man, and told about the pigs as well. Then the people began to plead with Jesus to leave their region. As Jesus was getting into the boat, the man who had been demon-possessed begged to go with him. Jesus did not let him, but said, "Go home to your own people and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you." So the man went away and began to tell in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him. And all the people were amazed. All right. Depending on your translation, you may have a different place for where this happens. Like, maybe you don't care about that. I never noticed this. I think that you're likely going to have something about the Gerasenes or the Gadarenes. I threw a little map up there. Why does this matter? Well, I'm going to, actually, does this work? I don't know if you can see that. Gerasa or Gadara here. Oh, I'll use this one too. Those two right there. The thing that's interesting about the translation, or the when we read this, if you go back and look at, let's see, when they went into the boat, some of your translations might have this little phrase, "the other side of the sea." It's like, okay, what does that matter? Do these cities on this other side look a little different to you, like the names? Do they have maybe a little Greek feel to them, perhaps, instead of like a Jewish-sounding name? These are all the cities called the Decapolis. These are the 10 Greek cities. They're predominantly Gentile. So the other side of the sea here is like, this is the other side of the tracks. They're going into hostile to Jewish territory here. Does that make sense? If the pigs didn't give it away, the names did too. Does that make sense? Because Jews are not going to be having 2,000 pigs here. They don't want to be anywhere around these things. So that's where they are. This is Jesus stepping out of the Jewish cities and going over there. And so that's just interesting. It's like that's where they are, all right? So we're going to do our first discussion questions. This is more just to get y'all, loosened up to sort of get ready to talk about some of the things that are happening here. So what I'm going to do is set a timer. This is what I've been doing. Set a timer for 2 to 3 minutes. I want y'all to find someone, and I want you to talk about this with your conversation partner or partners. First thing, what is your first impression of the one who calls himself Legion? What do you notice about him? That's question number 1. Number 2, how did being possessed by demons affect this man's life? And what can he do about it? Third question, why does the man ask Jesus not to torment or torture him? Okay? All right. I will start the timer, and I want y'all to talk. All right. That was about 3 minutes. What's your first impression? Who's Legion? You mean in terms of like this whole like my name is Legion is like, well, who's that? Well, I do have a slide here. So you were saying like, who is this? We don't know if this is like a name of a single being who's like has the power of a legion, or if this is he has a legion of demons in him. I have a slide here. This is the word legion comes from. We'll go back to the questions, but since you brought that up, the word legion is a military term. It's the largest military unit in the Roman military. So roughly around 6,000 people in this unit. And like I said, this is what Rome's military was made up of. They would deploy the legions. There was a legionnaire over them. What might be, I didn't know this until I found that. I just, you can find everything online, true and false, but this seems accurate here. A legion has roughly 9,000 in it, though, 9,000 beings, because there's not just, you have to have animals to support. So you have around maybe 7,000 humans, around almost 2,000 animals, and that human number is, you have your command structure, you have your infantry or cavalry specialists, but then they're going to have over 1,000 slaves to support them. Remember, Rome is like 3/4 of Rome is made up of slaves. So there's a whole bunch of people here, a whole bunch of things that go around to supporting what a legion is. So in terms of like, is this a single demon possessing this guy who's as powerful as the mightiest military unit in Rome? Or is this a legion of demons? I don't know. The Bible story tells us, it doesn't say anything.
There were enough of them to infest a large herd of pigs.
That's right. They were able to fill up and take on the entire herd of pigs, right?
Kind of makes me rethink my favorite meat.
I still like bacon. I mean, pulled pork is still good. I just hope it's not possessed. Right. I don't know. I mean, like, clearly it gave him strength, right? He was able to, right? He was able to break chains. Like, people just left him alone, right? What do you notice about him? What else do you notice about him? He hurts himself as well. That's right. Yeah. So this is not just like, first century's Superman or something like this. This is not a good thing for him, right? This is, he's being hurt. He's entirely outcast from society.
Wouldn't you think if he's cutting himself, that means he was tormented? I mean, he was hating himself, kind of, to do.
I don't know if it was him doing that, or the demons doing that to him, but sure, yeah, he was being injured in some fashion, yes.
And I think he also helped to isolate himself. He was out roaming at night in areas where the people were not.
Interesting. So you're saying, like, whether or not the demons or he, but like, he may have been able to get himself away from people so that he didn't hurt anyone.
He seemed to have that tendency.
Maybe. I hadn't thought about that.
He seems to be a psychopath.
Psychopath?
I mean, but then you think about years ago when you saw stories about people that would take CP and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
They would have superhuman strength. So something, it's like, is it what causes this? Because, I mean, you saw stories of people on drugs that would take the police down.
Sure.
I mean, and under normal circumstances, they couldn't
Yeah.
So you see all these different things in our lives that make things possible.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is just one of them.
Sure.
You really don't know.
How does he react to Jesus? He knew who he was, right? Did he fear Jesus? He did fear him, right? Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so my question to you is, at night and day on the tombs in the hills, he would cry out and cut himself with stones. So what about the tombs? Talk to me about that.
I don't know. Your question is, why is he out in the tombs?
That's where the dead people are?
I mean, that's where they were buried. I don't know. I didn't look at this to see. Honestly, don't know if the Greek or Roman burial practices are different than the Jewish. Oh, God, you're a mortician. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if this is where the demons want to be around death, or if this is like people aren't around. I don't know. Right. This is.
He would be left alone more there.
Yes. So I'm going to give you an unsatisfying answer in terms of the demonic side of this. We don't have a whole lot of information. And the Bible doesn't tell us a whole lot about that. The main thing, I'll just cut to the chase on this thing here. The main point of the demonic side of this story, I think, is Jesus is king and he's in control even over these spiritual forces. Even a legion of demons cowers before Jesus and his power. Which is, when you compare how the Roman military, who operated in crucifying Jesus, they were mocking him and spitting on him and gambling his clothes out. But the ones who did know, who had more power than the Roman military did, they are afraid of him. And so I think that's the gist there of what I would say in terms of the demonic side. There's not a whole lot more. I've done a little bit of reading on some of those things after, and I can try to share a little bit of that after class if y'all want. But
What about verse 11?
verse 11, let's see. The herd of pigs? Verse 11 is a large herd of pigs was feeding on the nearby hillside. Send us among the pigs, allow us to go into them. I don't know. So
And evil spirits came out and went into the pig. The herd, about 2,000 in number, rushed down the steep bank into the lake and were drowned.
yeah, I don't know what their thought process was there. Yeah, like I said, we have lots of questions there, right? Yes, sir.
I wondered about the owners of the pigs.
Mm-hmm. You're jumping ahead. So in terms of some of the reaction there,
But some of this conversation back and forth is these numbers are so strong. In 7 and so on. You know, the man ran up and said, "What do we have with each other? Our boy, do not torment us."
mm-hmm.
And he was asking, "What's your name?" And the reply, "My name is Legion." So it is the spirits that are talking back to him.
Yes.
And so it may be that the spirits recognize Jesus, not the man.
I think so. The spirit, yes. I don't think that the man knew who Jesus was. The spirits knew. Yes.
And so he was talking with them, and the man has just lost control of pretty much everything. He was just trying the cutting himself, maybe just so the spirits would leave.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I'm not a whatever, but that just seemed like a possibility to me.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. Yes, sir.
Your third question, he asked Jesus that he was going to torment him. And before that, he recognized Jesus as the Son of God.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps knowing that he had the power to torment him, do what he wanted to do to get him, to straighten him out.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yes, sir.
the option of one running to the pigs, versus the torment.
Because it says that he asked him, by God, don't torment me.
Mm-hmm.
So, in other words, I think he's saying, I can't help this, and please don't torment me for what's happened.
Yeah, one of the notes that Greg gave me was as a possibility. Do y'all ever know anyone who's struggling with something and they know that it's bad, but they don't want to get out of it? The phrase, better the devil you know than the one you don't know. Like, he knows his life is terrible, right? Some part of him anyway. But he doesn't, I mean, it's like, if there's any sort of control that he still has, if he's not fully over being ruled by the demons, maybe there's some part of him that's like, you know, at least I know what this is. Yes?
But see, I understand that being an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
Most people think it's a question of yes or no, but it's not that easy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I tried to quit for years.
Right.
Could not. It was just a question of how much to drink. Because, I mean, sometimes, you know, it may sound crazy to y'all, but like on Sundays, liquor stores are closed. I drink beer. I could drink a gallon of beer and not feel anything.
Mm.
I would just be bloated. When I would drink, I could drink a half a pint of whiskey and 2 swallows. I feel nothing.
Yeah.
So I understand this. Things are not as simple as, you know.
Right.
I got myself into this.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it's, you know, it's those demons are in there and they're overwhelming you, whether it's something that you caused or like in this sense.
Sure.
Because we don't know whether, again,
Yeah.
things are not as simple as people would like to think they are.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, clearly the people, you know, the people around have not been able to help him. I mean, they're probably at risk of being hurt themselves by going to try to help him here. And again, is there anything he can do about it at this point? He is entirely helpless. And I mean, yes, sir.
Recognize the power of God because they knew, they said, send us here, do this. They knew that he had control over them as well.
That's right. Yes, yes. I mean, like, Jesus has the ultimate power here, and that's the only thing that can help this man, right?
And they recognize the demons.
They recognize it. Yes, yes. That's the thing that shows up over and over in the Gospels. Do the apostles recognize who Jesus is? Not always. That's probably the best way to put it. That's a very nice way to put it, too. Because, I mean, sometimes they're portrayed as clueless, right? The ones who always seem to know who Jesus is? Those who are possessed? Like, what? Like, they have the clearest vision of who Jesus is, but they're dead set on obeying him. So I don't know what that, you know, all says there. The last thing on the man asking Jesus not to torment or torture him. Again, we don't know how much agency he has, but yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he's able to talk at all through this, or if it's the possession. If nothing else, the demons don't want the party to end, right?
They don't want to leave that area. So I guess they want to live among the tombs or whatever there.
Yeah.
If not, they would not send us out of the area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think we're going to have lots and lots of questions around this one here. Mm-hmm. Right, they're not about goodness. Yeah. Maybe. I mean, like I said, this is the not satisfying answer in terms of like what they are and how they operate and what they're seeking outside of just hurting and destruction. But yes, sir, David.
Yeah, I was just thinking about what she said. I don't recall a time where someone came to Jesus asking for help. He said, no, I can't do that.
Mm. Okay, so
We don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be different than what we've been up to so far.
okay. Let me see if I can say that again. I'm going to restate it, and you tell me if this is accurate. Because I like what you said. The demons don't necessarily know what's going to happen, but things are going to have to change. Status quo is not okay when Jesus comes. Is that fair? Jesus demands change from all of us, right?
As a guy, I like this idea because I'm a fixer of things.
You're a fixer of things, right?
I see a problem,
Mm-hmm.
it needs to be fixed.
Right.
That's not always worked best in some relationships
Mm-hmm.
that I have. I don't always have to fix the problem. Sometimes I just need to listen to the problem. But specifically here, yeah, this is going to be resolved.
Right.
And yeah, there's however many demons
Mm-hmm.
are going to have to be dealt with here. And again, what's torment or torture mean to a demon? Is it the guy that's going to be tormented by
Yeah.
demons coming out because of what he's going to be put through? Or is it demons saying, don't torment us, and does leaving a body and being put somewhere else, does just being cast out,
Mm-hmm.
what happens to that demon when it gets cast out? Where does it go back to? What is it now looking for?
Mm-hmm.
Could it have died?
I don't know.
They're not angels.
I don't know. We're going to come away from this class with a handful of answers and a bag full of questions. Let's go to the next set of questions here. I'm going to set a shorter timer. Just do 2 minutes this time. But why do the townsfolk react with fear and ask Jesus to leave? I mean, a guy just got healed. Why are they afraid? What does Jesus do in response to the request that he leave the area? And why does he do that? All right? All right, that was about 2 minutes this time. Why are the people afraid? It's already cost them 2,000 hogs, right? Absolutely. What else is he going to do, right? Oh, yeah. Right. I hadn't actually thought about that before. I mean, it's likely that it was the Sea of Galilee here, yeah. I mean, unless it was, farther down and there was one we don't have. So it's like, they may have all rushed in there. It's like, what did that do to the fishing? What did that do to, who knows? That's a really good point. What's he going to do next? Let's get him out of here. Yes, sir.
Generally, in Greek and Roman mythology, when a god shows up,
Oh, yeah.
there's
Yes.
trouble.
In Greek mythology, when gods show up, there's trouble. Absolutely.
There's nothing really done that benefits the general population.
Right.
It causes more harm.
Right. Right.
Now this individual has shown up and has done this incredible thing. This
Uh-huh.
guy that we know has been demon possessed. We know we haven't been able to subdue. We know we haven't been able to help. And
Right.
now he is in his right mind.
Mm-hmm.
And we know from the pig herders, we think we know what happened. And so this is obviously a supernatural thing that has occurred.
Mm-hmm.
This man must be associated with the gods. Please leave.
Right. Don't bring us any more trouble. Right. Yes, sir.
I wonder if when they were cast into the sea, where were they cast? Into the sea, I guess.
The demons were hurting on the. I've always pictured like the Irish plateau or something. It's like, and then they rush off into the sea. Right.
I wonder if after that they were cast into hell.
I don't know. There's it's not here. I think it's y'all may be able to tell me offhand, where a demon, it's like they don't want to go into the pit or something like that. That's the word that's used. I can't remember what that is. I'd have to dig it up, but I don't know. I mean, some sort of punishment is coming, right? I think what you said is interesting in terms of like that Greek mindset. These are not Jewish people, right? They don't know who Jesus is. They may not know a whole lot about what's going on. They're just afraid. This is not something that's normal. I mean, they had to have been afraid before too, right? You've got this guy who can break chains out here who's running around without any clothes on in the tombs, screaming and cutting himself. Suddenly he's okay. Like that. And the change there did not just impact him. That loss from that healing took 2,000 pigs running off into a cliff and dying. Like there was a cost there.
I think people had to be very afraid too because I think in my mind there's a lot of visual and audio.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. I suspect that it was very loud. I mean, when Jesus goes around, there's usually a crowd following too, right? So it was probably more than just Jesus and the 12 with him that saw this. What do they say? What do they ask Jesus to do when they see all this happen? Get out of here, please. Leave us alone. My version here says that they begged him to go away. It wasn't just hey, you can have some dinner. After you get that, you can stay for the night and then leave in the morning. Please leave now. They were terrified. Why does he leave?
His mission was through. It was finished.
Okay.
He assigned the healed man to stay there.
You're right. He did.
And work in that area where everybody knew him.
He assigned that man. He gave him a task to go back, right?
And Jesus had more work to do back over on the Jewish
He did.
side.
That's right. That's right.
In fact, he went right into another miracle in the next chapter.
Do you think that this man was an effective teacher after this?
I think so.
You think so?
Once people, would approach him,
Yeah. He's got a story, right?
he does.
Something that Logan has been doing with the young adult group is like sharing your story. Y'all may have heard some of this before. A lot of people will say, "Oh, I don't really have a story. There's not a whole lot there." If I've learned anything from just a handful of times, like I didn't think I had one because I grew up going to church and I had all these things. It's like, but when you tell someone else your story, they'll point out the places where God worked in your life that you had no idea. So even if you don't have a big story where you were possessed by Legion, you still have a story because God has been working in your life. So, and it may take someone else to help point those things out to you. Let's keep going here. So, context for this one here. We have just over 5 minutes left. So we can go ahead and just, we don't have to break up because we can sort of talk through these questions here. As we've already said, the man asks to go with Jesus, right? He wants to be where Jesus is. Can you blame him? I don't know what it would look like to go back to your home if you've been possessed with a legion of demons after this point, right? Does he even still have a home? Did he have a family? We don't know any of these things. We have lots of questions. I said we would be leaving with more questions than we have answers. He wants to go with Jesus, which is what I would have wanted to do too. Jesus, he may have been afraid to go home. I mean, honestly, why do you think Jesus tells him no? One of the thoughts that I had was, Dave, you mentioned this. Is he in Jewish or Gentile territory here? He's in Gentile territory, right? Where's Jesus going back? He's going back to Jewish territory. I mean, it might not have even been beneficial to have a Gentile guy following him around. I don't know. We don't know how long he was possessed. Absolutely. He may not have any. Yeah. But to what you said, Jesus gives him a mission, right? Go back. Let's see. I'm going to go. He's going to be the best missionary, right? He says, go home to your friends, verse 19. He sends him back with people he's already had a relationship with. Go home to your friends. I don't know if the friends are going to recognize him anymore. The places that we maybe have the most influence are with those people that we know, right? Sometimes. Because they know where we've come from.
They can see the change.
They can see the change.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm sure they were very wary, though, cautious.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, if I would be careful around someone if he had been doing those things before. What does this miracle tell us? Last two questions. What is Jesus communicating by means of this exorcism of Legion's demons? And what does that mean for us? What's our takeaway for our faith and our own discipleship from this? So what do we learn from this story? Stay away from pigs. Oh, I mean, we're in Memphis. Can you say that? Memphis area. Jesus has power. Yes. Mm-hmm. Unsolvable problems. Yes. Beyond redemption. Right. That's what this guy looked like. Even the demons fear him. Right. Our biggest problems are afraid of Jesus. Right? The biggest problems we have are afraid of Jesus. I don't think we frequently recognize the power that we have on our side. What else?
I know this is very minor, but something earlier that, to me, that he cut himself. I don't know if I ever read that in the scriptures. Yeah, I knew about the pigs.
Sure.
I'm just thinking, it's kind of like there's nothing new under the sun.
Mm.
Because that is the problem.
Sure.
A lot of young people cutting themselves.
The self-harm.
I just thought that
Yeah.
was,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What else? Yes, ma'am.
In the New Testament, where Jesus had not passed, and the Holy Spirit came on Pentecost in a special way, and the demons were pushed out that already had, because they had come, sure, Jesus was finally the God. And said, "You more glad to believe in those that more by faith
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and not by sight. But in the New Testament, Paul was able to cast, they were able to cast out demons
Mm-hmm.
through God's strength during that time. But when Paul says that demons was faithful, redeemed believers, and he left the church. And Paul actually said, they actually had the power to know that person's heart and the sin against the Holy Spirit. Paul said he gave him over to Satan.
Mm.
And he could know that. That's the difference for the unbelievers. Because, we're told that we are the believers, and we go back to the flock like a pig, or we go back and anything that comes ahead of God, Jesus said that even anybody that's not willing to give up anything, even though near and dear and good to us,
Mm-hmm.
in order to follow him are not worthy of the cross. And in 1 John, the older versions say that, dear children, 1 John chapter 5, verse, I think it's verse 10, where it says, dear children, keep away from anything, this NLT, keep away from anything that might take God's place in your heart.
Yes.
The Old Testament, they say idols, before they were condemned for it, idols were condemned.
Mm-hmm.
As Jewish people, but now, our leaders is the prophet. And anyone or anything, even our brother, our sister, our mother, our father, our brother, our children, come ahead of God. That is vital in our life.
Yes.
We're having to direct the man from the top of John who left to write those things.
Yes. Yep.
That's what that means.
Mm-hmm.
It's too great. So, just add that to y'all.
Sure. All right. Well, thank y'all. The last comment I was going to say is I'm reminded of the thing that y'all are going to be able to tell me where it is too. Our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against the spiritual forces, the powers. Like, this is sort of a reminder of that, right? And the power that we have on our side is greater than anything that they have. That's it. Thank y'all.